Hey everybody, Frugal Farmer here. This is my Nanny and my Uncle Charles. Uncle Charles is our oldest son. I'm named after him. Nanny was born around the turn of the century. She lived in a little place called Mount Zion, South Carolina. She eventually moved to Fair Forest, South Carolina. She drove one time in her life, drove a Model A and hit something, and she never drove again. She worked in the cafeteria and retired from the school system and was an excellent cook. She did something I never could understand at the time, but she didn't measure. She just said, well, a pinch of this, a dash of that, and a smidgen of this. And those were actual measurements to her, and I've never known them to fail anything she cooked. And it's kind of ironic because I do some measuring cooking on like cobblers and stuff, but I'm like my nanny in a lot of ways. I'll put a little dash of this or a smidgen of that, pinch of this in something. She lived till she was 93. She had her own garden till she was in her 80s. She always figured the depression was coming back. She made use of anything she could. She used to tell me that the flower companies would have really nice sacks with flowers on them and real pretty stuff. Well, what the ladies would do, they would take these flower sacks and make dresses for their daughters out of them. So the prettier the sack, the higher the flower sales. So that dictated a lot of how people uh, decorated their flower sacks. Nanny used stuff till it couldn't be used anymore. And she looked after people. I know a lot of times I'd go there, there'd be a cousin or somebody staying with her. And at her funeral, I met a lot of those, and some of them I remembered, some of them I didn't. But they'd stay with her till they got on their feet and they'd be on their way. I know one lady had a drinking problem. She was drinking at my grandma's. My grandma told her, said, either the drinking was going to have to go or she'd have to go. And the lady had to go. And she was getting by on just her meager retirement. And my uncle, her brother, had cancer, and he told her he wanted to talk with her. He was going to have to go on a rest home because he couldn't look after himself no more. She told him, said, you ain't going nowhere. Said, you want to stay here. I remember my uncle living in the front room of her house for years and years. Well, he never married, and he traveled with companies putting in power when houses were getting power. He was helped setting up the grids, and as primitive as it were back then. And he didn't know anything about stock, but he bought a lot of stock in these different companies. He's a bachelor. He didn't have anybody to worry about but himself, so he had all this stock he never really looked at or, you know, worried about. And he was making good money too, so for back then it was. So when he died, he left all this stock and stuff to my nanny. And it wasn't a king's ransom, but it helped her out, and she lived the frugal life anyway. So she was able to make do with that. And my Uncle Charles, he lived with her, and she was able to make do with that money. And my Uncle Charles, he was getting his Social Security and stuff. But between that and the garden, I'd go see her. It was a few hours drive from me, but I always like to go down there and see her. I'd go down there. I'd get up early on Fridays and drive up there because Friday was her grocery store day. I'd get her and carry her to the grocery store. And these women back in this generation, they went out. Their hair was fixed, their makeup, lipstick, although not a lot, was on, and they dressed real pretty. and we'd go to the grocery store and she'd get stuff she needed. Well, a lot of this was after she had her garden, and we'd come home and people would have left baskets of peas, peaches, okra, and it all happened when she went to the grocery store because people knew that she'd want to pay them for it. Well, she'd ask her, look, see if there's a note. No, there ain't a note. Look on the ground, it may have blew off. But you never could find out who left this stuff there, but it always happened when she went to the grocery store. But that's where I got a lot of my frugalness from, I guess. And I was my nanny's favorite grandson, and learn a lot from her. She used to tell me about the Depression and what they did. She lived in an area where her aunts, uncles, cousins, all of them lived. And like at one house, your land might not be good for growing as much, although you'd grow a little bit. Usually everybody had a garden, but one uncle, he had some kind of bottom land. They fenced it all in. Everybody had hogs down there. When it came time to kill hogs, everybody participated. And you had your own hog down there. You made your own slop, you carried it down there, and you fed your slop to them hogs. So you had, I think there was 6 families in this little community type setup. Well, you might have Uncle Leonard over across the street, and his land was good for corn. You go there and harvest, everybody put up together and help clean up everything, and all the corn remnants, that was fed to the hogs. And they had chickens. About one of my favorite memories down there, she had a goose, and they told me, they said, no, don't be messing around out there with that goose. Well, I was just at that age, it as well pointed me the way, because I was going to go out there and be Marlin Perkins with that goose. I knew about geese. Never had seen one or been up close to one, but I was going to learn that day. So I got out there and got near that goose. With that goose straightened his neck out and got to flapping his wings, and he was coming towards me, or she. I don't know if it was he or she. So I ran back to the house, and that goose was dead in behind me. I ran around the house and went by where they were sitting at in the room. The door was open, didn't have air. I hollered in at them, hey! And I come back around again and said, that goose, come back around again, is chasing me. When I come back around again, they said, we told you, come back around again, to leave that goose alone. And it developed a healthy respect of geese for me. I just want to share this memory with you. Thanks for stopping by. Come back again when you will. Share, comment, like, hit that subscribe button. God bless. I think this may be one of my longest videos. God bless you again.